here now from a new angle. We're just gonna jump on into this episode of Double Down. Thank you so much for listening to this. If you're listening to this, or if you're watching it wherever you're deciding to watch it, on Spotify or YouTube, we got a little bit of clutter going on here. I'm not gonna lie, we got a little bit of clutter in this corner here, but at least it's not back in this corner here. And there's some stuff back here that needs to be cleaned up and taken care of too. But this is a work in progress. I've been streaming for about 8 years, and I've been streaming with a green screen behind me for the majority of that. And as freeing as that can be for some production things, it was a little limiting in other things. So I decided to open up the camera a little bit more to what's actually in my room. I will be putting more pictures and stuff over here. I got some work from a Resolute from his sale that he had earlier around like Black Friday. Looking forward to putting that up there. The green screen is still up. It is right here just in case I need to use it for like any production stuff. But yeah, it was time for a change, and I felt that time coming. Part of that experiment was the Feeding Frenzy campaign, where I had my camera over on the right-hand side of the screen. That's where I think my camera is going to live for the foreseeable future. I don't know. There was something about it that felt better, more fresh to me. Like I said, I've been running the same essential kit for about 8 years now. It was about time for a change. So from now on, you'll probably be seeing me in this angle here. This has allowed me to bring back the desk cam, which is an Elgato Face Cam Mark I. I was able to build this Elgato Stream Deck Lego set that Elgato sent me for the holidays because of that. That was very cool. Before we get any further, let's get into a couple of important upcoming dates. December 23rd, we will be watching a marathon of the extended cut of The Lord of the Rings. Now, if you're somebody who watches stream regularly, you know my stance on The Lord of the Rings. If you're just listening to this for the first time and you're like, oh no, am I about to eject Dan out of my life? You probably are. I am not a fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. I was when I was younger, when they came out. They came out about when I was in high school, and they were kind of like a Christmas tradition movie. But I had a friend who every year would make us watch the extended editions, and just through that, I learned to despise the Lord of the Rings movies. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying to yourself, that's a good friend. He was showing you the director's intent, the extended cut. And he is a good friend. I love that man. But that was probably the closest that I've been to being like, all right, buddy. We'll see. We'll see next year. We'll see next year if I show up. And then we ended up moving out of the house together. So it goes. Things work out. But anyways, we hit our $5,000 goal for second helpings through the Feeding Frenzy. So December 23rd, I think it's like something like a 13-hour marathon. We'll be watching the Lord of the Rings extended editions in the Discord server, discord.gg/Danfinity. Still hammering out time, like what time that's going to start. It's going to be about 13 hours. Keep checking the Discord server, and I'll have a definite time for that in this week. January 2nd will be the Dandies, which is my first attempt at doing a community awards show. I figured if Jeff Keighley could do it, why not me? I have a lot of different categories, most of them centered around stream and the Discord community. I'm making PDFs as we speak for all the winners. This is something that I should have done sooner. I just got the idea after the Game Awards, or after the Game Awards were coming around. And there's a lot of people in our community that deserve a lot of credit for what I do broadly. And so I thought that it would be fun to put together just a little award show, just a little night together where we hang out, we give out some awards, and then we play some community games afterward. That'll be on January 2nd. Nominations are through my performance review, which we'll go ahead and get into that. Every year I do a performance review. It has been that way for probably about the past 5 years. For me, it's mainly to get feedback on how I'm doing as a creator, what I can improve on, what my strengths are. Typically the answers are about the same, but I do get some worthwhile information out of it. some constructive criticism that I implement over the next years. And it's been a huge help to me as a creator. It also helps me learn what platforms you're watching, time zones, what times you're watching on those platforms, things like that, to help me better curate maybe when I should be going live. Now, with the 40-hour job, which is going well, by the way, thanks for asking, um, I'm probably not going to be able to change up at will as much as I was prior to getting that job in October. And that's something that I'll just have to live with. But this information is incredibly useful for me, especially if I have days off. It's just a little bit of planning on my part to help me be a better creator. If you want to take part in that, somewhere over here will be a QR code to the Google form for you to go through and fill that out. It shouldn't take that long to fill out. It goes viewing habits, then your feelings about me, then nominations for the Dandies, your feelings about subscriptions, and then at the end, if you want to give your email address, I'm going to be starting an e-newsletter in the next year. I'm not going to be annoying about it. Probably 1 to 2 posts to your inbox every month. But if you sign up for that, we're quietly giving away a tower pamphlet emblem for those of you who play Destiny 2. That is an emblem that has been given out to the community over the past few months. It's very beautiful. And just by filling out your email address in there and allowing me to send you an e-newsletter, you could win that. I'm raffling off one of them. So good luck. Now, you might be asking, Dan, why start an e-newsletter now? Isn't that kind of an archaic thing? What is with all this? It's something that's been on the back of my mind for about the past year, as we've seen our social media platforms slowly degrade into fascist, just rhetoric. I think it's important to own your space. I've been listening a lot to Aftermath.site, which is a group of gaming journalists who broke away from Kotaku and various other media platforms, and started their own website. I've been reading Show Your Work, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And there's a section in here about owning your space. And this book is older than dirt. Yeah, way older than dirt. It's been something that's been on my mind because I don't want to keep paying Elon Musk, and platforms like Threads are shitified already because they're already tied into the meta system. Blue Sky, while promising, is already showing a few problematic cracks at the beginning. So I just bit the bullet and decided to start my own website. This website, danfinity.gg, is where you will find me. If people ask me on podcasts, hey, where can I find you? Danfinity.gg will be the place where you can find me posting blogs. All my video work will be there. That's across several different channels being funneled into this space. As you can see, I've already written a few blogs this week. I'm really liking the format for writing blogs, especially as I have less time to make video content. It's a way for me to express my opinion, get it out there in a complete form that isn't broken up by character limits generally. I don't really have to rely on an algorithm to possibly make sure that you see it. If you want to find me, this is my address. Is essentially what this is. We'll just go through the homepage here. As you can see, it has my information for how to watch me live here at the top, a little bit of a bio, and a picture from my wedding. This is probably one of my favorite pictures that's ever been taken of me. Thank you, Asia. Some blog posts, which you can expect another 1 or 2 this week. A link to my videos and guides right here in the middle. My merch, which points back to my merch shop, which has a lot of promos available right now. You see this podcast section with Destiny Digest and Double Down. This is really low maintenance, and these embeds update every time a new episode goes live. It includes a space for my partners, where if you click through the link, it'll automatically fill in my referral data, and includes the email subscription for the e-newsletter down at the bottom. All just like really handy stuff. I also think that this looks more professional than sending people to a link tree or a dot card. I've decided to go ahead and add a standards and practices to this. That way companies know what to expect from me as a creator. That was really important to me because I feel like creators should have something like this to show outwardly to folks who are about to become partners or who are sending you codes for things. I'm also working on the pages for my partners to give a little bit more of a description of what they do and what the referral links do. I'll be adding my media kit here, so it's going to be very easy for me to just send a link to somebody when I'm putting in for codes, when I'm going for sponsorships. It's just a good place and a good idea, I think, for creators going forward to kind of do this thing, especially like as Blue Sky uses URL handles as your handle. This is a good way of self-verifying that, yes, I am who I say I am. I wouldn't be paying to build a website if I weren't. Special thank you to everybody who's checked out the website already. It's been a special adventure on my part because I've never built a website before. This is through Squarespace, so it's pretty plug and play, pretty easy stuff. It's also something that's helping to educate me going forward in my job because I'll need to know the differences between all of these site building platforms. And Squarespace was super easy. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Dan@danfinity.gg is my email, or you can find me on socials and DM me. Moving on from there, Destiny Digest has returned. That's right. Your Destiny news podcast that took a 3-month hiatus is back, or has been back for like 4 weeks. And then we're taking like 2 weeks of a break until the new year. And then we'll be starting back up on January 5th. That's been a lot of fun to do. It's a little bit of a format change for the show, but not so much for me. I pinged a bunch of buddies to sit on the panel. We have Bonafide Hero, we have Asefa, producer Asefa, we have Epic Dan, we have Sammy Cat, we have Tiddly, and they'll be rotating week to week for the panel show to talk about topics that are happening in the game. We've been doing this live on Sunday nights, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. It was on my Twitch channel, but I created a dedicated Twitch channel for Destiny Digest going forward. That is twitch.tv/Destiny Digest. And episodes are going live in video format on Spotify and YouTube, and you can listen to them wherever you get podcasts. This has been a really fun project. In the past, this is still a fun project for me, especially now that I have people working with me to back me and maybe a little bit to take some of the load off. In the previous iteration of the show, it was really interview heavy, which was great if you remembered to book interviews. Sometimes it would find me scrambling week to week to find somebody to interview on a topic that was pertinent to what was going on. And I remember early on in Destiny Digest feeling like I had it cracked. I knew exactly what was happening week to week. It was like clockwork. And the truth is, no, I didn't. So I feel like this version of the show grounds it a little bit more in conversation. The creators that I approached are all creators that like you should know and care about. They all have really solid opinions on the game, even if like we don't agree with each other all the time. That's important for dialogue, and it's important to showcase and exemplify in the community. I just love working with them. They're so cool. I respect each and every one of them. We will have guests on the show in the future. Just haven't booked any yet because the conversations have been pretty solid. If you want to check that out, you can find it on YouTube at Destiny Digest Pod. You can find it wherever you get podcasts. I even started a Blue Sky account for the show, destinydigest.show. And on Blue Sky, there is a starter pack through the Destiny Digest account that is essentially just all of our past guests from the Destiny community that you can just click follow and it'll just fill up for you. So a really cool feature on that if you're transferring over to Blue Sky from Twitter. That's been a lot of life update stuff. So let's get into a little bit of gaming. This past week was the Game Awards, or the Keeleys, as I think Giant Bomb has come to know them. A night of pomp, a night of game announcements. In the past, not so much awards because they usually like read off a category, then all of the people who are nominated, the winner, and then they move on to the next category, and they kind of speed run it that way. And that was still the same for a lot of the awards in the Game Awards this year. However, as opposed to previous years, they did let people speak and express their feelings about layoffs in the gaming industry, which I thought was really brave. Some criticism that I've been seeing is that they got rid of the future class, which highlighted developers across the world and their different projects. That was something that I didn't realize was missing until after it was brought up. And I was like, oh, yeah, that was a huge thing for so many people. They did unveil the first annual Game Changer Award at the TGAs. And that was awarded to Amir Satvat, who helped people during the pandemic and during the game industry layoffs, helped them find jobs and placement places, and just was probably the highlight of the night. I would say the second most important thing that happened was Sven from Larian giving a speech about how games get to be in the Game of the Year category and how future games will be by shedding off greed and microtransactions. Just a really incredible speech from somebody who didn't get to give one really last year. I'd say my third favorite moment was Statler and Waldorf heckling Jeff Keighley over past fumbles with the Game Awards. I hope they bring that back next year because it was hilarious. I do want to say a huge shout out to Astrobot and the team behind that. Incredible that won Game of the Year. I was pulling for that. I was pulling for Balatro. I was pulling for Metaphor Refantasio. Even though I have only played the demo for that, that experience was wonderful. Balatro has quickly become my phone game that my legs go numb on the toilet for. So I guess congratulations on that award. All in all, the Game Awards felt more breezy. They did have a lot of games that they unveiled. I listed 7 of my favorites in my blog, and there were a few others that I was excited for. Outer Worlds 2. I still need to finish Outer Worlds 1, but Outer Worlds 2 has that kind of Fallout formula to it. Shadow Labyrinth, which is a Pac-Man like. I don't want to say too much of it because there's an episode in Secret Level that kind of gives you the concept of this, which if you're not watching Secret Level, what are you doing? Watch Secret Level. It's all about gaming. It's beautifully rendered. Thank you to Miller for the love letter to gaming there. Split Fiction looks like a really cool co-op game from the studio that brought you It Takes Two. There were just a lot of really cool games that were announced with the Game Awards. Once again, check out my blog for like my top 7. A game that I am playing a lot of that wasn't announced at the Game Awards is Moonlighter. It is a game where you play a shopkeeper by day and at night you dive into dungeons. It came out in 2018. It is a roguelite game. It is top down, much like a Zelda. I believe they said during one of their dev blogs that they were highly inspired by the Minish Cap, the Zelda game. But it's a really fun game. It's something that I've been doing in the downtime while things are rendering, while things are uploading. And I've just been having a ball with it. I'm in the second dungeon right now, which is the forest dungeon. And I find myself just killing a bunch of things, grabbing as much loot as possible, jettisoning back out to my shop, storing everything, continuing that loop until I am full in all my chests, and then having like a one-day blowout sale kind of thing where I think I had $67,000 in one day, which was like pretty cool, a pretty nice feeling. Of course, you get to craft items and upgrade yourself along the way so that you can take on harder and harder difficulty things. It's just a really cool loop and one that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. Definitely take a look at that. It's fairly cheap on PlayStation right now. I don't know about other places like Steam, but if you can pick it up for cheap, go ahead and do that. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. Lastly, I talked about this a little bit earlier. My weekly recommendation is Share Your Work by Austin Kleon. This book came out several years ago. Some of the references are really dated, but I feel like the message of this is worthwhile to note. I feel like the spirit of the thing is true no matter what time or who the references is a philosophy that I'm trying to take more with my content. This is an example of it, where you show your audience what you're doing, how you're doing it, the strengths and pitfalls of what you're doing. And it's just a really good philosophy. It's a very short read. I mean, there's not too many words on the page. There's plenty of pictures. It's a beautiful book. Or if you're into the audiobook, I believe you can listen to it on Spotify, or you can purchase it, or you can listen to it from your local library. It's about an hour long listen. It helped get my mind rolling on some things that I could be doing in my downtime when I'm not at work and when I'm not working on other projects, and especially how I document that kind of thing. So, highly recommend this book if you're a creative person. Outside of that, once again, December 23rd will be the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition Marathon in the Discord server, discord.gg/Danfinity. Remember to visit my website, danfinity.gg. And on January 2nd, on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Danfinity, you will find the first annual award show for the community, the Dandies. You could win one, possibly, if you're nominated, or if you nominate somebody else. Who knows? Maybe I should make that a thing. Or if you nominate somebody, you're nominated for an award. Oh, that's devilish. Oh, you devil. Anyways, you can find me at danfinity.gg on the internet. Just go there. Don't go to those other platforms unless you really want to. And then you can find me at danfinity.gg or danfinitygg at those spaces. That all said, thank you so much for listening to this. And I hope you find what you're grinding for.